You're one of these farmers out here and you're losing your farm, or you're close to it, and you're wondering why all the liberals don't care and why we're being cruel. Because we begged you to care. We begged you to vote for the person who was going to help you. And instead you voted for the one guy who did not care for you at all. Boo-boo. He bankrupted a casino. The hell you think he's going to do with your farm? Like I said, you enjoy your misery. You enjoy losing your house and your farm. We told you. We told you what was going to happen. So don't come over here crying. I do not care. I don't care. Listen, I'll go outside and eat the bark off of a tree before I will ever care about you or any MAGA or any conservative Republicans ever again.
I got laid off from my corporate job yesterday. And I think that this is the reality for a lot of Americans right now, and it needs to be shared because America is not doing well right now. We have a 94% prediction rate that the recession is going to come, but yet our frickin' administration hasn't even made the move to actually say that a recession is coming. And let's actually call it what it is, a depression. People can't afford groceries, they can't afford rent, they can't afford buying houses, they can't afford having babies, they can't afford having the kids in general if they already have them. We are not in a good spot, y'all. I know that I'm just a number in a company, but I thought I was okay. You're going to think that you're okay because you've worked there for so long or you have the right experience. Like, you guys, I have an undergraduate in marketing, a master's in business, 6 years of paid social media experience, both on a strategist and manager level. I have done people management for at least 3 years. I'm a senior level in my career. And yet, when I was hired to do a senior level role, I was forced into entry level positions. I was doing entry-level work as a senior-level strategist, all while at the same time being asked to reduce my workload with AI, and our team was having layoffs every 3 months. I should have seen it coming. I really should have. But the thing is that it was not something that I saw coming, because the day before that they laid me off, I was literally talking coverage plans with another employee who was going on leave for months. How am I supposed to sit there and not think that I'm safe in that moment? I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that we live in a world like this where my manager wasn't even the one that fired me, by the way, or laid me off. It was frickin' HR, and they read off a script, but my whole team got laid off. And this is the reality for a lot of Americans right now. My partner is a first responder, so I'm very lucky for the fact that I can be leaning on him for support right now, because luckily his job is secure, thanks to the fact that number one, his job is essential, and number two, he has a union behind him. What I will never understand is why corporate agencies have not unionized. We're not allowed, right? We're not allowed. That's part of it. We'll get fired because at least in this corporate world, they're always going to side on the side of business because that's what's making the government money. This world right now is not supporting people. It is supporting business. You are just a number, unfortunately. So please prepare yourself for shit like this. I wish I would have. I wish I'd been applying to other jobs months ago. I just was so dumb to not realize the signs. I want to talk about it. I think people need to talk about it. I think we need to make this more public. We all saw the jobs report. It was awful. Getting laid off on the day that the jobs report goes out, and it's 22,000 instead of 75,000 new jobs. You know how discouraging that is? If you know of anything in the marketing space, let me know. Use my comments as a way in which to maybe trauma dump. I don't care, vent. I'm here for you guys. I can't believe this. And I'm really sorry if you're going through this too. Here for you.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you're doing fine where you are, and if you ain't doing fine, please do fine where you are. You see, there is something with the human behavior. You see, the only person's behavior you can control is yours. You cannot control someone else's behavior. It is you yourself who can do that, right? But God can. But now let's put God aside. Let's do it on a human level. Nobody can change your behavior unless yourself. This is a very strong tenet of the choice theory. The choice theory is a literary theory that is used in psychology as well to analyze also to study animal behavior. And also human beings are animals. You find that when you suffer, and you see someone also suffering, you kind of feel better in your suffering. Hey, I feel better. So and so is also suffering. But if you suffer alone, the suffering seems so intense. Why is it always that way? Why is it? Sometimes someone has broken an egg. Some people will smile. It's not like they like it. It's just that they now realize human beings are imperfect, right? But that very situation I'm telling you about, you cannot compare it. You cannot compare it with a situation in America right now where everyone is suffering in America. As everyone is suffering right now, the situation right now in America is very hard, and Trump has really made it very, very hard for so many people, both white, Indian, black people, everyone, right? So in America, you know, black people are the most undermined community in the whole of the United States of America, right? Yeah, that's true. So white people have come up front, some of them on TikTok and maybe on YouTube as well. They've come up front and they are now discussing, they are now talking that black people are not suffering, yet they are suffering, right? You see, sometimes you can suffer a lot until suffering becomes your lifestyle. It becomes like a tradition, you pass it to your generations. And that is what has always happened to blacks in America. Suffering is our tradition. Suffering is like our daily life. Now suffering has become a daily life to some of these white people since Trump's policies has now pushed it further. The tariffs are affecting both black and white, both Republicans and Democrats. It doesn't choose. We all go to the same shop. Farmers are suffering, both black and white. But now white people are wondering, why are black people not suffering? Why? One thing they fail to realize is that black people have been suffering, and in that suffering it became their lifestyle. You see, they have long suffered. Long suffering is a virtue, in fact, right? So I want us to listen to some of these whites complaining that black people ain't suffering. And why is it that they say so? And then I shall get back by the end of the video, of course, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis. Let's dive in.
In today's episode of Teaching White People Their History, I love comments like this. In today's white history class, I wanted to tell my students today about white fatigue, white supremacy, white power. In the year of 2060, it will no longer exist. Please surrender your white card. We're going to give you a new card. You will no longer be called Caucasian. You will have a new identity. You have a new heart. We will put a new heart in you. Okay, you have a new brain. We will instill happiness. Fruitopia is what you will get. We may, if we're nice, give you some extra minerals so that you can contribute to society in the correct way when you pass away. You just burned it down. You brought the drugs in and you burnt down black success.
To that farmer who lost his entire hayfield to all those cars parking on during that homecoming, sir, you are better than me. Because if that was me, I would have called every single tow truck service in the state. Come get these motherfuckers right now, all right? I would have been on the phone snitching to every single tow truck service. Like, if you looking for your best payday right now, come on down. I got a gold mine. I got a honey hole. I got about 80 cars lined up on my lot. I don't care if you take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come on down. Send every single truck you got. Come get their ass. You done ruined my whole entire hayfield. And y'all bet not even get on my post talking about it's just a hayfield, da 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 da. If you say that, I know right now you don't have no animals and you not from the country. You ain't never dealt with a farmer a day in your life. He already said that the hay was for the cattle, especially coming up in these winter months. If you don't know what hay to cattle means, then you don't know what gas to car means. Exactly. All you need to know is that a parked car in a hayfield equals contamination, oil, debris, etc. That's all you need to know. It means that entire field is ruined. 1 car, 2 cars, 80 cars. He had 100-something cars in that lot. That whole field is gone. All right. Well, would it cost him maybe a few thousand to cultivate, cut, dry out for the winter months? Now it will cost him tens of thousands because now he had to go buy something when he didn't have to. First off, y'all was trespassing. Y'all shouldn't even been on that field. I get it. There was no signs, but there ain't no signs in the country. It's just common knowledge and understanding. And don't even say, well, he should have came out there and stopped. By the time he probably found out, it was too late. How was he supposed to know there was going to be a party going on right down the road? The field was already ruined. Like I said, one car or two cars, the field is gone. The minute you drive on it and park, cut the engine off, and that car starts to leak oil, contaminated. It goes for every single thing. Housing developments, new construction. The field has to be cleared by somebody, and it's usually like 5 or 6 years. Y'all learn a few. Just a hayfield, da 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 da. If you say that, I know right now you don't have no animals and you not from the country. You ain't never dealt with a farmer a day in your life. He already said that the hay was for the cattle, especially coming up in these winter months. If you don't know what hay to cattle means, then you don't know what gas to car means. Exactly. All you need to know is that a parked car in a hayfield equals contamination, oil, debris, etc. That's all you need to know. It means that entire field is ruined. One car, two cars, 80 cars. He had 100-something cars in that lot. That whole field is gone. All right. Well, would it cost him maybe a few thousand to cultivate, cut, dry out for the winter months? Now
the U.S. may be headed for another 2008 level financial crisis. And you know who's responsible? Donald Trump and BlackRock. Back in 2008, millions of Americans lost their homes, their jobs, and their entire life savings because of toxic investments, massive hidden risks, and reckless financial engineering that just collapsed under its own weight. Fast forward to today, and those exact same risks are being capitalized on. Donald Trump has just signed an executive order allowing your 401k, your retirement money, to be poured into crypto and private equity. These assets are volatile, hard to value, and in some cases, impossible to sell in the case of a crisis. Meaning if they tank, your retirement fund could be wiped out. And at the center of this, the engineer of this, is BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager. Did you know BlackRock managed Fannie Mae's mortgage debt before the crash and then was hired to clean up the mortgage debt mess after the crash? They had massive financial incentive from managing that crisis, and today they manage $9 trillion of your pension and retirement funds. And their CEO, Larry Fink, has been pushing hard for private market access and digital cryptocurrency for everyone, and he just got the green light from the Oval Office. I wonder what financial incentive Larry Fink could have from increasing the risk profile of your investments. And what makes this even worse is the compounded pressure of our $1.7 trillion student loan crisis. Remember the Trump administration's announcement that they'll garnish the wages of those who default? That's less money out of your paycheck for food, rent, utilities, and now on top of it, your retirement fund could be wiped out from high-risk bets. In 2008, the danger was risky subprime mortgages packaged into complex securities. Today, it's risky, illiquid private equity deals and speculative crypto stuffed inside your retirement account. On top of historic high student loan debts and wage garnishment, both of these crises share the same dangerous traits: opaque pricing, concentration of risk, and the potential for a very sudden and brutal collapse. Except it's not going to be BlackRock or Donald Trump feeling the weight of that collapse. It's going to be me and you. And this isn't fear-mongering. Unless regulators put very, very strict guardrails into place, history isn't just going to rhyme. It's going to repeat itself.
I'm going to make a video that is very high level in finance, but needs to be redirected to as many eyeballs as possible, because this is eventually going to affect everyone, including yourself. And this is not a doom and gloom. This is simply just a high level overview of what is coming and what the impacts will have on your life. I've made videos about this stuff before, but they've been very in-depth. So I want to make a video that is much higher level overview to give everyone an understanding for themselves and how they can prepare. On August 11th, the United States national debt surpassed $37 trillion. Now, you might ask, well, why is this really important? Well, October 2025, or September, I guess you could say the end of September, is when the national debt, or essentially the fiscal year of 2025, ended. And we ended at a debt of 37.6 trillion, which means in a month and a half, we added another $600 billion to the national debt. The United States economy, when you look underneath the surface, it isn't doing too hot. Again, I'm not going to go into the weeds, but when you look into the data, it's really not actually doing that hot. And with that, we have 10 companies, 10 tech companies, that are keeping the economy, quote unquote, afloat. Problem with this is it's very much looking very bubble-ish, very 2001, very 1929-esque. Now, the problem with this is the United States government has way too much debt. We are at something called a debt to GDP ratio of 125%. I think it's a little more now, like 125.4%. The reality of the situation is, if the United States economy takes a turn downward because these companies aren't able to produce the results that they're essentially being invested into at the valuations that they have, or essentially you can put it in terms of like they're looking as shiny as they can be, and if they're not as shiny as they actually are later down the road, then everything in the market could essentially pop. Now, the problem with this is the United States economy, or the United States government, has been a backstop. The United States government does not have the financial capability to backstop this bubble popping. And the genuine concern is that if this bubble pops, the United States government will not be able to it will not be able to bring in the money that is able to then fund the government, the debt itself. And so typical things like Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, the largest expenses to the government will have to start dwindling. Now, if this gets even more severe, how does this start to affect the socio-political sphere? And what if the money itself for things like subsidies of energy, like oil, or subsidies for things like food, what if that starts getting affected and farmers can't produce the food that we need, and oil companies can't produce the energy that we need, and we have essentially a sell-off and the inability to fuel the people that we have? What happens then? And genuinely, I would typically say, hey, the United States will be able to get through this. Humans have ingenuity, and we have the ability to see the problems, be able to work around the problems, create solutions to the problems. But the only caveat to this is when you have a problem, it tends to be something that's a little more concrete. But what we're talking about now is not a concrete problem. What we're talking about is a system failure, a point where the actual government, the entire thing that we know of collectively as what we all bank on as being secure, pops, and it goes away. And that's the genuine concern. And so the spiral looks like this. The hype gets real in artificial intelligence that it's going to be able to boost productivity and help us grow out of the national debt. Then the productivity, the AI bubble pops instead of it being a real boom. And then that spirals over to the government not having the capital or the money to be able to fund the debt. And then the debt spirals, and then the debt causes the United States government to go insolvent. And then the entire populace turns into a socio-political, violent collapse. This definitely isn't a conversation you want to have over a dinner table. But again, more people need to be aware of this situation, because it is a process that is playing out right in front of our eyes. So let's talk about it now before the situation actually is around the corner or occurring.
Y'all seen our farmer on here begging for us to help him because he about to lose his goddamn farm because of Trumpy Dumpy. But the person or the people who was in office, the ones who gave him that funds to get the goddamn farm and all that for so he can afford it, you voted against him. Now you talking it's not supposed to be us against them. Like the people against the people. It's supposed to be us against those corrupt people, because both sides corrupt. You voted for him, sir. Now you want us to help you? See, y'all didn't think that none of the shit that Trump was saying was going to affect y'all. But now that it do, now you want everybody to unite. Sir, that is not our problem. You can kiss that old McDonald farm goodbye. Because they was tearing you up in them comments, rightfully.
American workers and American taxpayers have been taken advantage of for multi-generation, for decades. And it's time for somebody to stand up and put us first, and put the country first, and do what's best for the country, not what's best for the politicians.
Even if you as a farmer suffer.
That's right.
I mean, some people would hear that and be quite surprised that you're prepared to put your livelihood, your family's livelihood, on the line for the sake of politics.
Well, that's my duty as for being the head of my household. I've got to do what I got to do, what's going to be better for the future, better for the kids. It's not about today, it's about the long term. The long game is where the rewards are going to be.
But don't the price of tariffs and what happens in commodity markets like soybean, doesn't that affect you in the short term and affect your ability to provide for your family?
Look, tariffs will probably have a detrimental effect on soybean price in the near future. In the long term, it'll probably work out. I'm a farmer. I deal with bad weather. I deal with dry weather. I deal with torrential rains. We deal with hurricanes. What's a tariff going to do? You know, I got to raise a crop. If I was worried, I'd stay home and not raise a crop. If I was worried about it, I still got to get out there and raise my crop to get the price. If you don't get the yield, it doesn't make any difference. You know, I got to deal with all these other things. What's a tariff? I can't control that, so it is what it is.
I actually agree with a lot of what he said there, even though he's a little misconstrued. All the stuff he said at the beginning, I agreed with. But then he said, but when it comes to tariffs, I can't control that. Well, you could if you voted differently. And you said that you have to worry about weather and floods and this and that, but you have crop insurance for that. You don't have tariff insurance. And it might be bad in the short term, but it'll probably work out. You're working on probability, just probably. Is that how farming works now? It'll probably be okay. I don't know farmers that deal like that. I really don't. And I've worked with tons of farmers over the years. I know a lot about farming. I know a lot about farmers. Most are generally good people, even if they vote like shit. They vote against their own interests constantly because they believe the lies that they're told. They believe the nonsense that the Republicans told them and tell them. It's amazing considering that the Democratic Party, also known as the DFL, the Democrat Farm Labor Party, was started basically by farmers. And they've all strayed away from it because of feelings and hatred. That's it. That's what they voted for. Feelings and hatred. And your soybeans, yeah, it might not be good for now, but it might be okay probably in the future. Well, you think those soybean markets are going to come back to you? It sounds like you're kind of waiting for a handout. It sounds like you're waiting for your handout because you've gotten accustomed to it. You've been accustomed to the hands across America to support the farmers constantly. Farm aid and this aid and that aid for the farmers and bailouts and helping them from this and that. They're used to the money. They're used to having their handout now as they complain about people with their handout. Yeah. They're going to pay for this, and it's going to cost them dearly. And why would China just suddenly decide to come back unless it's so good? The deal that Donnie gives is so good that it just totally crushes the farmers. But he doesn't care because he's not going to be around, and he knows it.
I got a letter recently that my property taxes are going to go up $600 a year from now on. I got a letter that my homeowner's insurance is going up $60 a month. My propane company sent me a letter that my propane is going to double this year. They just came and filled up my tank. It was $1,000. That's crazy. Also, as a entrepreneur and business owner, I get my health insurance through the marketplace. So you have the Affordable Care Act. I pay $45 a month. They just informed me that if this bill passes and I lose my tax credit, I'm going to go from $45 a month to $660 a month for health insurance. I need to buy a new car and I can't, because the cars have gotten more expensive and the interest rates have gotten so much more expensive. I can't find a reliable car that has the same monthly payment of $450 a month that I've been paying now for a new car. Not necessarily new, but new to me. Groceries are insane, and it feels like every day I get a new email from another subscription that I have, whether it's Netflix, my website subscription. Everything's increasing in price, and I sit pretty much every day stressed about money, and yet I know that there are so many people in this country that are way worse off than me, and they're not making it, y'all. They're not making it. What hurts me the most is that there are so many women, especially, that just cannot afford to leave abusive homes, and they have to stay in it because of this economy. So are we great again, America? Like, is this what you voted for? Meanwhile, they all sit there in DC, not feeling any of these pressures, not doing anything about it, not giving a shit about the American people. I have been extremely poor, and I have been extremely wealthy, and I know from firsthand experience that the wealthy people don't notice it. And most people are pretty self-absorbed and aren't thinking about other people anyway. So we got to talk about this more. We got to raise hell. We have to let DC know that this is not acceptable. Regardless of your party, we have got to help each other.
America is collapsing before our very eyes. Restaurants are closing their doors for good in my city at a record pace. They're blaming it on a slow season, but I think it's something else. You can't tell me the amount of abandoned strip malls that I drive by on a daily basis is normal. I know you've seen it too. All these places just get replaced with the Capybara Cafe de Jour or a flower store to placate the masses, if you know what I mean. There used to be 24-hour diners, family-owned restaurants, even bookstores, I don't know, third spaces. Now, nothing. Luxury apartments that sit vacant forever. Grocery stores that have been closed for 10 years. So much wasted space in empty parking lots until some TikTok trend comes, opens for 6 months, and then that closes too. I know I'm not alone in this, but yet every single time I bring it up, I get all the bots in my comments telling me the economy's never been better. But I ask, for who? Like 100 people at the top? So the billionaires are doing great. I don't care. People like you and me, we're struggling out here. All my friends live in vans. And if we are lucky enough to have apartments or houses, we're living behind locked doors and closed blinds because there's no community here anymore. Restaurants are just the beginning. They're the canary in the coal mine. Once they're gone, so are all of our meeting places, our birthday parties, our community, and third spaces. They're not just a place to buy food. They're a pulse of the neighborhood. And also, as a live singer, something hugely important to my job. I used to sing 5 nights a week. Now I'm lucky if I can find a Sunday night gig. So I'm just here to say, if this is what a booming economy sounds like, it must be the sound of doors slamming shut. And I don't know about you, but I'm making my exit plan. We're moving to Portugal soon, where they still have cafes and restaurants that people actually go to. If you find that interesting, stick around. Because I can tell you this is not normal. And don't let internet comments gaslight you into thinking it is.
So I just posted this video about the video is called Old Mac MAGA Lost His Farm. I didn't even put the EIEIO in there. But in all essence, Brendo_Licious, he basically breaks down how Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, signed that Inflation Act to provide $19 billion in funding to reduce the inflation for U.S. to give that money to farmers so they can farm. Well, with the spending cuts, this particular farmer who voted for Trump basically is about to lose his farm because his government assistance got cut. But maybe he's one of the ones that's saying people need to work hard and pull themselves up by their bootstraps, which y'all tell me all the time, and stop being a freeloader. And but he's losing his farm. But the farmers who are injected antibiotics in the chickens and stuff, they got their funding. But like the small farmers who do the organic farming and the food that keeps us safe, yeah, they lost their funding. But you know what? Don't take it from me. Go watch that video. It's right behind this one. And I tell you, I was quite entertained. He schooled everybody. But if you don't get it, you never will.
I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I love seeing leopards eat faces. It is one of my favorite things to see. Especially faces that knew they were gonna get eaten if they voted this way.
I've never been as worried as I am now.
You better be.
Whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of love. 5 of my customers have committed.
So the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm. After a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
Yeah, much worse.
In the spring. So my son will not be the second generation on our farm.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here.
I mean, we told you guys. We told you this for months, years. The economy is dog shit. If you elect Donald Trump, it's going to fucking collapse, basically. But no, you didn't want that. And now your farms are gonna disappear. And farmers are fucking important as shit. Those motherfuckers give us food. Donald Trump don't give a fuck about that. Donald Trump's gonna eat. He's rich. Fuck you and me. Fuck us when it comes to eating. That's why he doesn't give a fuck. Donald Trump will never give a fuck. I think we're too fucking deep into shit. I don't even know how to fix this. If it's even possible to be fixed, it's gonna take decades to get back to some kind of normality. Decades.
Boy, them farmers, they are really complaining. And I'm going to report every bit of it. You know why? Because our black farmers wasn't getting anything. And yet our black farmers had to struggle. Now, this farmer is going to be out of Iowa. Now, his congressman is there at a town hall. And I want you to watch exactly what he says to this congressman about the tariffs and what he says about Trump. Let's check. Now, it was interesting to me that he said that he had about 3,500 acres of land, ladies and gentlemen. My question is, where do you get all that land from? That is a lot of land, right? Because I know good and well you didn't really purchase it because you came here to this country and it was somebody else's land. You know what I'm saying? But that's beside the point. He mentioned in 1986 or so, he spent $30 to plant something. Man, the 80s is gone, bro. Them days is not coming back, unfortunately, because if the 80s were here, man, we would be saving so much money. You know, I sometimes watch them videos showing the prices from the 90s and the 80s, and I remember all these prices too. I was like, man, boy, we had them prices again. Anyway, so the majority of the farmers, so they went, like we said from last night, from $12 billion to zero, right? Now they're having to pay a bunch of, basically an extra tax on top of that with the tariffs. See, they're starting to suffer financially under Trump. They're suffering big time. And on top of that, they thought that, well, we don't care about the mass deportations because the unemployment for black people, this is what they thought. Black people unemployment is so high because they only live in a bubble what they listen to, like Fox News or places like that, right? They don't actually get in real facts and understand that as black people, we are doing good. We are lawyers. We are doctors. We're engineers. We're entrepreneurs. We're athletes. We're musicians. We're podcasters. We're all kind of things in society, right? Law enforcement. We do all kind of things. We're not sitting around just hoping that they hire us for some low income job. I was talking to brothers and sisters today that all of them, you know, a lot of them college educated, professional jobs, just talking to them, black people. Right here. You know what I'm saying? We done our time with that long time ago. Y'all got that labor for free. Them days are done. If we gonna work like that, we're gonna do it for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We work on our own farm like that, but working for y'all? No. So they got rid of the illegal immigrants working on their.
So, after carefully listening, I did listen thoroughly, trying to understand this very situation. Remember when I told you that nobody else you can control their behavior except you yourself. It is only you who can control your behavior. right? Even I myself cannot control my partners. I can't control my fiance's behavior. I can only influence but not control, right? The same way, the white people in America have long been privileged. They have enjoyed the white privilege for such a long, long time, to an extent that now, when Trump came to power, it doesn't seem real to them that they have, or rather they are now testing the suffering that black people have been having in the United States of America. You see, Trump's policies, the tariffs, the removal of the SNAP benefits, the removal of the EBT, the removal of some supporting cash that helps them, you know, the deportations. Because I believe these white people also had marriage with some of these people who were deported. They had friends, they had colleagues, they had children, right? And they had to suffer as they watched them being deported, right? So Trump's policies came and cut across every other community, right? And so they ain't happy. They ain't happy now that they see black people and black people seem unaffected. It's not like we are unaffected, no, we are used to, you know. When you're used to suffering, as I said earlier, it becomes your tradition. It becomes your way of life. It reminds me of the myth of Sisyphus, the man who cheated death and lied to the gods, the false gods, very much false gods. So when he lied to these false gods, the false gods punished him. He had to carry a huge boulder on top of a mountain. Anytime he was very close to the mountain where he was supposed to drop that boulder, the boulder could roll back to the foot of the mountain. Again, he had to go back, bring it up. Very close, it rolls back. So it was an infinite regression. It's a thing that would happen for eternity. So in short, Sisyphus came and discovered, I can't keep on complaining. I can't keep on fighting. I just have to accept it. I have to accept this is my life and this is how I'm going to live. So, black people are likened to Sisyphus. Sisyphus it's not like he's enjoying, he ain't enjoying, but he has accepted his situation and he lives with it. So, right now, even any other community, not just white, it's not about white by the way, it's about America and the people of America. Every other community apart from black people, who is now facing the hardships that have been brought about by the policies of Donald Trump, by the policies of the American government, should be happy, smile, and carry their boulders, right? They shouldn't look at Sisyphus and say Sisyphus has it easy, no. They shouldn't be jealous of Sisyphus, no. They shouldn't be envious or insult any kind of nasty words to them, no. Everyone should carry their cross and don't throw your cross at someone else or do not start complaining. Yeah, that's my thoughts. If you have any thoughts, I'd really love to hear what you have to say. This is EFK Original Documentaries, EFK, yes. Share my videos, subscribe, share your thoughts. I'd really love to know what you think about this. See you in the next one. Stay positive.